And now I am very pleased to call upon a National Committee Vice Chair and a superb contributor to our efforts to enhance Sino-American relations, Hank Greenberg, Chairman and CEO of CV Starr & Company, and our honoree in 1991. Hank will introduce our first 2010 honoree.
Thank you, Carla. It's a pleasure to introduce one of our two honorees this evening, Jim Owens, Chairman and CEO Emeritus of Caterpillar. After joining the company in 1972 as a corporate economist, Jim held a number of management positions in several Caterpillar subsidiaries. In 1995, he was named Group President and a member of Caterpillar's executive office. Over the next 8 years as a group president, Jim was at various times responsible for 13 of the company's 25 divisions. In February 2004, Owens was named chairman and CEO. He has been a true champion for U.S. China relations. As he will tell you this evening, Jim has worked in and with China throughout his entire career at Caterpillar, and he truly understands the benefits of our two countries working together. As chairman and CEO in 2005, he introduced a new 15-year strategy to the Caterpillar enterprise. That listed China as one of 7 critical success factors for the company. Outside of Caterpillar, he has actively promoted free and open trade in national and international forums and been a strong supporter of developing U.S. China relations. Although he has recently retired from Caterpillar, in fact, last month, he remains very busy as a director of several public companies, nonprofits, and a member of the President's Economic Recovery Advisory Board. He's also a trustee of North Carolina State University in Raleigh. Please welcome Jim Owens. From now? You're going to give us some now. There you go, my friend. Let's get some pictures. You don't but mine.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am indeed very, very honored to be recognized by the National Committee of U.S. China Relations. And I really accept this honor on behalf of Caterpillar and the long relationship that we've had in cultivating our business in China and working on economic development as well as our own business development in this country that has just done such amazing things. I must say, as I've been with Caterpillar, or worked for Caterpillar for 38 years. The last 26 of those, I was intimately involved in developing our business in China. My first trip there, 1983. And for many of you in the room, you know all this, but it was a fascinating time to be visiting China. It was still, in many ways, exotic, mysterious, very impoverished. A very different country than we know today. But Hank Greenberg was, of course, there well before me, and Hank, I meant to first off express my sincere appreciation for your introduction. You are the Dean of American Business in China, and it's a great honor to have you introduce me. But we, at Caterpillar, my first experiences there, we had our first sales there, in fact, in 1978, not too long after the bamboo curtain was cracked. And from there, established an office in Beijing in the late 70s, and a parts distribution center. We began as fast as we could possibly move to develop our business in China. We did so. In the 1980s, I had the great privilege, really, of traveling China extensively, working on technology transfer agreements around the country. A chance to get to know a lot of Chinese people, both the Caterpillar employees and the people in the factories that we were discussing technology transfers to. In most of the provinces I visited in that period, they had never seen a Westerner. And we had the great opportunity of hosting many of those factory delegations in the Midwest during the 1980s on their first visit to the United States, their first trip outside of China. It was an awakening for me. It was an awakening for our visitors who came and visited us during that period of time. And one of the things that, I guess I was most impressed about is I had lived and worked around Southeast Asia, so I knew many ethnic Chinese, and I knew of their love of country. As we had these Chinese delegations visiting us in the Midwest and took them to different cities in the United States, I was always impressed, even in sophisticated Chinese communities like Toronto and San Francisco, how many people turned out to meet in the mid-1980s these delegations from Chinese factories to learn a little about what was going on in their communities and to see the deep love of country that they had and the willingness and enthusiasm they had about the doors that were opening and the opportunity to reinvest in their home country. I was very fortunate to have a Chinese translator by the name of Arthur Shea who suffered some indignities, if you will, during the Red Guard Revolution, but who joined our company in Hong Kong. And I learned so much about the culture and the country from Arthur. And again, through his eyes, saw his love of country and his sense that we could develop a win-win economic and people-to-people relationship that had such a very profound influence on me over the years. From very humble beginnings in this technology transfer agreement that we negotiated in the 1980s, Caterpillar went on to form a number of joint venture companies in the early 1990s as soon as we were allowed to have that opportunity. We began to appoint independent dealers in the country who began to invest heavily to create a product support capability. And today, as I leave the chairmanship of Caterpillar, and my colleagues from Caterpillar are here, so this is a journey that will continue to go on. But today we have, I'm going to go back one step here. In my early days in the 1980s, the technology in China in our industry was 40-year-old Russian technology that didn't work very well, and very small, very inefficient, highly vertically integrated factories. Today, we have 11 factories in China producing world-class, state-of-the-art product with over 6,000 employees in the country, many of who have lived and worked all over Caterpillar's world and now have gone back to China, their home country, in leadership roles and are doing terrific work. We have 3 R&D centers in country, logistics distribution facilities, and with the current capacity expansions underway, our employment there will soon be in the 15,000 employee range. So we set a goal a few years ago to be a leader in China. We recognize to be a global leader, you must be a leader on the ground domestically in China. We're making great progress on that. This relationship, the United States and China, and that the National Committee so ably supports, I firmly believe is the most critical bilateral relationship on the world stage today. I know our leaders are working hard to get it right. There are imbalances to deal with. But I've been very proud to be a leader, and our company has, in encouraging most favored nations status initially, WTO entry, and continuing championing of positive trade relationships and commercial relationships between our countries, because we know what a tremendous win-win opportunity it is and how critically important it is not only for U.S. and Chinese citizens, but for citizens all over the world. So again, thank you very much for this honor. I'm deeply grateful.